The End of the Road, the execution of Michael Tanzi. Imagine a life extinguished, a final breath drawn, not in the quiet of old age, but in the sterile confines of a death chamber. This is the story of Michael Tanzi, a man who met his end for a crime that irrevocably shattered lives. Give a like and subscribe, leave a comment. Michael Tanzi was executed in Florida, paying the ultimate price for the brutal murder of Janet Acosta in 2000. The execution took place by lethal injection, marking a somber end to a case that had haunted the state for over 2 decades. Tanzi was pronounced dead at 6:12 p.m., a statistic in the ongoing debate surrounding capital punishment. His execution was the 3rd in Florida this year, and the 11th in the United States, a stark reminder of the justice system's finality. A local detective chillingly described Tanzi as a fledgling serial killer, hinting at a potential for even greater horror had he not been apprehended. This label adds another layer of darkness to an already tragic case. April 25, 2000, began as an ordinary day for Janet Acosta, a Miami Herald employee. During her lunch break, she was abducted, her life about to be violently and irrevocably altered. Tanzi attacked Acosta in her van, initiating a terrifying ordeal. He beat and robbed her, displaying a callous disregard for human life. Tanzi then drove Acosta to the Florida Keys, a journey that sealed her fate. The beautiful landscape served as a backdrop to unspeakable horror. On Cudjoe Key, Tanzi strangled Acosta, ending her life in a brutal act of violence. He then buried her body in a secluded place, attempting to conceal his heinous crime. Tanzi eventually confessed to the crime, leading police to Acosta's body. His confession brought a semblance of closure to the investigation, but could never undo the damage he had caused. Shockingly, Tanzi also confessed to killing Caroline Holder in Brockton, Massachusetts, just months before Acosta's murder. This revelation solidified the detective's grim assessment of him as a potential serial killer. Tanzi was convicted of first-degree murder, carjacking, kidnapping, and armed robbery, a litany of charges reflecting the severity of his crimes. The evidence against him was overwhelming, leaving little doubt of his guilt. The jury unanimously recommended the death sentence, a decision that underscored the community's outrage and desire for justice. This unanimous recommendation carried significant weight in the sentencing process. Tanzi filed several unsuccessful appeals, attempting to overturn his conviction and escape the death penalty. Each appeal was meticulously reviewed, but ultimately rejected. A last-minute request for a stay of execution was rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court, signaling the end of Tanzi's legal options. The highest court in the land affirmed the lower court's decisions. The Florida Supreme Court also rejected a claim based on Tanzi's obesity and sciatica, arguing that these conditions did not constitute grounds for a stay of execution. This final legal hurdle proved insurmountable. Tanzi awoke at 4:45 a.m. on the day of his execution, facing the reality of his impending death. The weight of his actions must have been immense in those final hours. He had a spiritual advisor as his lone visitor, seeking solace and perhaps forgiveness in his final moments. This spiritual guidance offered a small measure of comfort in the face of death. Tanzi's last meal included a pork chop, bacon, ice cream, and a candy bar, a final indulgence before the ultimate reckoning. The choice of a last meal is a poignant tradition in capital punishment cases. In his final statement, Tanzi apologized to Acosta's family, a gesture that may have offered some small measure of comfort to those he had wronged. Whether the apology was sincere is a question that will likely remain unanswered. Tanzi recited a Bible verse, seeking solace in faith as he faced his mortality. The specific verse he chose remains a private moment of reflection. Witnesses reported that Tanzi's chest heaved for about 3 minutes, then stopped, marking the end of his life. The clinical description of his death underscores the cold reality of capital punishment. Tanzi was declared dead at 6:12 p.m., the official end to a life marked by violence and tragedy. His death brought closure to the legal process, but not necessarily to the pain of those affected by his crimes. Janet Acosta was more than just a victim. She was a person with a life, dreams, and loved ones. She was a Miami Herald employee, dedicated to her work and her community. Acosta was attacked while reading a book in her van, a simple act of leisure that turned into a nightmare. The randomness of her abduction highlights the vulnerability we all share. She was the middle of 3 sisters, a cherished member of her family. Her loss left an irreplaceable void in their lives. Acosta all but raised her younger sister, Julie Andrew, demonstrating her caring and nurturing nature. Her dedication to her family speaks volumes about her character. Acosta was described as a gentle soul, a kind and compassionate person who touched the lives of many. Her gentle nature makes her murder all the more tragic. She volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, dedicating her time and energy to helping others. Her commitment to service reflects her selfless spirit. Acosta had a special bond with Andrew's daughter Jennifer, a testament to her loving and generous heart. The impact of her loss on Jennifer is immeasurable. Michael Tanzi was born in 1977 in the suburbs of Boston, a seemingly ordinary beginning that belied a troubled future. His life was marked by hardship and trauma. Tanzi's childhood was full of loss, abuse, and a lack of stability, factors that may have contributed to his violent tendencies. Understanding his background does not excuse his actions, but it provides context. He was sexually molested by a childhood friend, a traumatic experience that likely had a profound impact on his development. The long-term effects of such abuse can be devastating. Tanzi was physically and emotionally abused by his father, creating a cycle of violence and pain. This abuse likely shaped his worldview and his interactions with others. His father slammed the boy's head into the side of a truck, a horrific act of violence that demonstrates the severity of the abuse he endured. Such trauma can have lasting psychological consequences. Tanzi's mother was not home that much, leaving him without the consistent care and support he needed. The absence of a stable parental figure can contribute to feelings of abandonment and insecurity. 2 other executions were carried out earlier this year in Florida, highlighting the state's continued use of the death penalty. Florida is one of the states that most frequently carries out executions. 8 other people have been executed around the U.S. so far in 2025, demonstrating the ongoing debate and practice of capital punishment nationwide. The number of executions varies significantly from year to year. One of the South Carolina executions used a firing squad, a controversial method that has sparked renewed debate about the humanity of capital punishment. The use of firing squads is rare, but it reflects the challenges of finding humane methods of execution. About a dozen other executions are already scheduled nationwide, indicating that the debate over capital punishment will continue. These scheduled executions will likely be subject to legal challenges and public scrutiny. The next execution in the U.S. is set for Friday in South Carolina, keeping the issue of capital punishment in the public eye. The timing of executions often generates media attention and public discussion. 25 inmates are set to be executed in the U.S. in 2025, a significant number that underscores the ongoing use of the death penalty. The actual number of executions may vary depending on legal challenges and other factors. Florida uses a 3-drug cocktail for its lethal injection, a method that has been the subject of legal challenges and ethical concerns. The specific drugs used in lethal injections have been debated due to concerns about pain and suffering. The execution of Michael Tanzi serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and controversies surrounding capital punishment in the United States. It forces us to confront difficult questions about justice, retribution, and the value of human life. The execution of Michael Tanzi, while bringing closure to the Acosta family, leaves us with profound questions about our justice system and the cycle of violence. We urge you to delve deeper into the complexities of capital punishment. Research the arguments for and against it, and understand the disproportionate impact it has on marginalized communities. Contact your elected officials to voice your concerns and advocate for criminal justice reform. Share this video to spark meaningful conversations and challenge the status quo. Only through informed dialogue and active engagement can we hope to create a more just and equitable society for all.